Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And I'm finally here for another garden update. I know I've been behind, but that's because we've had some really cruddy weather for about 2 weeks. It was very cold and very wet. And we finally have a real nice day today for the first time in a little while. So now's a perfect time for me to get out and show you some of what's going on. Some things are really coming along, but some things have just pretty much come to a stop because of the cold, wet weather. But I think because we're getting some nice warm weather again, we should start seeing those things perk up. So let's get started here on the front deck in my container garden, and then I'll take you around and show you some of the highlights all the way around the property. So it's still fairly early in the day, and the juniper is shading most of my strawberries, but they do get plenty of sun later in the day. It's still morning here, and so the strawberries are doing good. I'm starting to see little berries forming on all of my plants, and most of these are new. Most of these ones here on this little tree. This was the pie tree that Patrick made for Ryan and Kayla's wedding, and they didn't, after the ceremony, they didn't need it anymore, so they gave it back to us, so I'm using it as a strawberry tree. And so I made all of these here from the plants that I had purchased last year at our local nursery, which that I believe is one of them, and that is one of them, and I think that is one of them, but everything else you see starts from those. So yeah, they're doing good. I think I'm gonna like these June bearing strawberries much better than the everbearings. My gooseberry is doing pretty good. It's getting nice looking, nice sized gooseberries on there. These are the ones that will turn red, and they just have an amazing flavor. But I noticed this last year, and I was hoping that moving it out front would make the difference, but I don't know if you can see what's going on here. I haven't found what it is yet. Something is eating the heck out of the leaves. Thankfully, they're leaving the berries alone, but the leaves are just getting chewed all the heck by something. Wait a minute. I think I just found it. Look at there. Can you see that? So, some kind of caterpillar. That's the first time I've seen them. So I'm going to get out here. I haven't sprayed it yet just because it's been so wet it's pointless, but I'm going to try putting my bug spray on here, my homemade stuff. It's got neem oil and some homegrown herbs that should help. Wow, this is just loaded with these nasty little guys. Well, I actually found them on camera. I was looking for them earlier and couldn't find them. I see why. They blend right in with the color. Here's my fig. Look at this. So Lisa Booker, if you're watching, look at how nicely this is coming along here. And then my dwarf nasturtiums here are doing pretty good. More strawberries. These are the grapefruits that you take inside in the wintertime. And we started those two little trees. There's one there and one there, from seed that we found in a grapefruit, seed that had started sprouting within the grapefruit. So we figured, well, why not just plant them and see what happens? So we did that last year. I think it was last spring. And then we kept them in the greenhouse all last year and then moved them inside during the winter, and then recently moved them out here on the deck. Let me go out here. So this is one of my comfreys around the plum tree, and it's about as big as the plum tree itself. So I've been cutting it back so I can get, so it doesn't shade out the plum tree too much, but also so I can get more and bigger leaves. But I also like to leave the flowers because, as you can see, the bees love those flowers. So I don't try to take too many of them. The cherry trees. Well, I had cherries on them, but the cold snap we had killed them all. So I lost all of my little cherries. I thought maybe I'd actually get cherries this year. But this is only the second year. We bought them last spring, and you know, it can take a couple years for fruit trees to really adapt. And yeah, I had cherries on here too, and they're all gone, so that's disappointing. But my quince tree is doing really good. It's holding its fruit, and you see the quince blossoms have died, but there's a whole bunch of tiny little quince all over this thing. And then this peach tree, kind of the same issue. Peach is just, even though this one's supposed to do good here, we've only had, in the whole time we've had this tree, we've only had 2 peaches. Tasty, tasty peaches. Just amazing flavor, but it just, peaches aren't even, I think even our area is too wet for this tree that's supposed to do good in the Pacific Northwest. But yeah, anyway, my other big comfrey, and again growing around the tree. And then here's the carrot box that a lot of you might have seen already that Patrick made. And yes, I planted the carrots, and you won't be able to see unless I get in really close, but there are a whole bunch of little carrots coming up in there. They're just very tiny. And I think they would have sprouted a lot sooner if we would have had some warmer weather. And this is the other peach tree that I'm positive this will be the last year for this. I'm just done. I'm done. This one in the greenhouse would get tons of peaches, but they never were good peaches. So the 2 zucchinis I had planted last time I showed you this, or even with as cold as it's been, they're actually doing pretty good. And then yesterday I just planted another start there that I started from seed, and another one there. And then you'll see the rhubarb leaves laying all over the ground. If you saw my rhubarb video from earlier in the week, that's what I do. I just throw the big leaves down, and they work kind of as a ground cover. They'll help, kill back some of that grass and also nourish the plants around. So 1 rhubarb, 2 rhubarb. I just picked a bunch more yesterday, got it on the dehydrator, and then those are all just, this is my main potato patch now, but this is just some of my potatoes. Sting and nettle is starting to actually go to seed already, and since I have a whole bunch dried up and jarred up, I may still dehydrate up some more. I'll still use some fresh, but mostly I want to get a lot more seed because I couldn't believe how well our sting and nettle seed did on the store this year. Crazy. I'm totally sold out. And I thought I had tons. Back there is my original comfrey plant. And now that the chickens have been restricted from this area, it's finally been able to grow. So it's that's why it doesn't have any flowers yet, and why it's so far behind the other ones, because the chickens, they love comfrey and they'll eat it. I do have some beets coming up in here. You might not be able to see them from this angle. The lemon balm, I had made a start from the one on the west side. That's, I've been, as you can see, I've been cutting on it and using it quite frequently, and it's doing really well. I think it's going to like it better out here than on the west side, because this section right out here gets a lot more sun. And then my this sage and another one along the west side are starting to get flowers. My oregano, and then all of that is peppermint all through there with some wild geranium mixed in. And I don't know, for those of you who are new, this flower here, my sister and my brother-in-law made for us, and those dishes, mostly the blue ones in particular, were my mom's. And so when we went to clean out Mom's house, Christy collected a lot of her blue glass so she could make each of the siblings one of these garden flowers. So not only is it beautiful, it's just another thing that I can remember my mom by. And then here you'll see that Patrick did create another box. We obviously haven't filled it yet. I was thinking maybe using this for other types of root vegetables, or maybe planting some more carrots. Once we go down to the creek, we get, on our other piece of property, get some more sand and mix it in with some more peat, and then we'll probably put more carrots in there. I thought about maybe instead putting some other beets in here, but I haven't decided yet. Once we get it filled up, I'll figure that out. And here, this is my long skinny herb strip right here. And mostly just want to show you how my valerian, this is my healthiest, biggest valerian plant. And it would be a lot thicker, but I keep coming out here and breaking off more stalks because I just recently did it actually, because I'm trying to get more flowers and more big leaves to dry up and flowers so I can save more seeds to put on my store. So right now it looks like it's taller than me, so it's over 5 feet tall. Not that that's saying much about my height, but for the valerian plant, it's pretty good size. Last year it got up to 8 feet. And then this currant right here is looking very, very healthy. This one is doing okay, not quite as good, but it was a little younger plant. And then still don't have any roses yet. I'm surprised. Usually I should start getting, well, I see some buds in here. Look at there. So I should start getting a bunch of roses here soon. It just seems like it's far behind. So I'll just do a quick flyby of the West Side Herb Garden. I'm starting to get buds on my lavender. Did a lot of cutting back on my oregano this morning, trying to get a lot of that dried up. Okay, I had to come back here because I always bypass the elderberries. Yeah, they're going berserk. So I'm definitely going to cut them much farther back this next year. There's my other elderberry. Woolly lambs are coming up here. My other elderberry. mint that I've been harvesting regularly, huckleberry, marshmallow, and then the rosemary. I've been getting lots of rosemary. Oh, and then these are horseradish. I'm finding slugs love horseradish, by the way. All right, here on the back deck, you can see my beans that are in the pot are starting to grow. So I wanted to explain these chains. So years ago, we had bought a whole bunch of hanging pots, but found nothing really grew well in them here, no matter what we did. And so I used the pots like this right here. The basket itself I used to put over pots to protect to keep the chickens from climbing into the pots. It doesn't keep their heads out, but then when I first start growing the potatoes out front, you might have seen my older video, I put them around each of the potato plants when I first plant them, and then the chickens can still wander around, but they don't dig up the potatoes. And so now that they're totally restricted from that area, brought the baskets back here and been putting them over pots. But anyway, the chains, I've been utilizing them as well. And so I just rigged up some more by cutting some of them off. What happens with these chains is the beans will climb up, because I got more beans planted in this pot here, and they will climb up these chains here and then go across. Now I've never actually got them to go, they never grow quite big enough to go all the way across there, but they do get about to at least there. That's what those are for. And so later in the year you'll see that happen. My pansies, I haven't picked them yet today because, you know, I just wanted you to see them, but I come out every single day and I pick them every day. And I've also been taking some of the leaves like this, because these also have medicinal benefits. You can eat them. They have a nice wintergreen flavor to them. You can use them in tea, but mostly I'm trying to encourage a lot more growth, get them to bush out and make more flowers and more leaves. And then let's just do a quick pan of the grapevines and the blueberries. So the grapevines, last you saw them, were really just barely starting to get buds, I think. And so now, not only are they starting to bust out in leaves, even with as cold as it was. I don't know if you can see from here, but there's little grapes. Well, they're actually grape flower clusters, but they're all over. See those? Lots of grapes coming on there. Came back to this corner so you can kind of see how it looks from here. Now in midsummer, this will be completely filled in. This will be all solid green. You won't be able to see, except for right through there. That'll be the only place you'll be able to see out into the backyard where the garden area is. Yes, today was a great day to wash up my cloth wipes. So I got those hanging out, and I've got my dehydrators running out here because it is going to get very warm today, so I don't want them in the house. But they're still running on solar power while we're getting plenty of sun. And we do, for those of you who are new, we do have a couple of videos about our solar power setup, but I'll show you a quick, right here where you can see this is the shop roof. So that's where all of our solar panels are. And I'll go ahead and link to the old video, but Patrick does need to do an update video on that because we've added to our setup since he did that video. Okay, let's go out into the main garden. Now the main garden bed doesn't have near as much going on, partly because of the types of things that are planted, but also because, well, this is the north side of the house, and yeah. Now most of my herbs are doing pretty good. The echinacea, the spearmint, my other two valerians, you can see how much smaller they are. So lavender, the elephant garlic, I've got that planted here, there, and everywhere, and I just come out and take a leaf or two every so often and then dehydrate them up. I'm going to make basically a powder for flavoring things with. But anyway, out there I have corn. I've planted the corn, and I'm really nervous that sweet corn is not going to do well, especially since I planted this whole area in that. So what I've been doing is, you can see a couple of green things there. That is, these are just things that have self-seeded from last year. So I've got lamb's quarter and some kale. So I've been moving them from other places and planting them between the rows. And I've also planted some Blue Lake bush beans between the rows. So what will happen is, if by chance none of the corn comes up and it doesn't do well at all, I'll still have something growing in this area, and I can move the plants around as needed. And by the way, these are my currants. Look how loaded in berries they are. Look at that. So lots and lots of berries in there. And these are a beautiful cherry red. this was the mint, the mojito mint I moved to this side of the garden just to kind of make a protective barrier that helps keep pests out, because a lot of pests don't like mint, and plus it just looks pretty, and it's actually coming out into the grass, which is totally fine with me, and it sort of helps keep it out of the main garden area. So my beans in here are doing really good, but so are a lot of other things that I can't really get to until I move these. But I did end up leaving these panels up longer than I had planned, and I'm glad I did because it did get so cold. But I need to check and see how the weather is going to look. It was supposed to stay cold for the next couple weeks, but if it ends up changing and being warm like I think today is going to be, then I'm going to be taking these panels off. But the beans are about, maybe it looks like about a foot high so far. So the marshmallows are coming along, sunflowers. The sunflowers pretty much came to a stop, but now they're starting to perk up with the sun. So this used to be my old potato patch. And so all the potatoes you ever see coming up in here are always volunteers, always. And there's some on this side too. I wasn't going to allow any to grow on this side. I keep digging them up. But these ones are back far enough, they might not overtake my squash. That's usually what happens and why I've been trying to keep them out of this area. But you can see the peas. I still got some more falling over there I need to go hook up on there. They've, since the last video, they were down to what, just right there in the last video. So now they're already up past where those boards are. Over here, more beans, and you can see more chains. I got 2 of them now set up for the beans to climb up from that pot. This one's getting pretty close. So that will give it some support. My lettuces have finally started doing good. You know, some obviously are older than others. These are clearly my newer ones. So I think I might make a salad for dinner tonight. Right here, more strawberries and the other plum tree that actually does have plums on it somewhere. There's one. Plum right there. Okay, for our last stop, let's go into the greenhouse and see how things are coming. Tomatoes have been really starting to grow. They get very, very dusty in here from the chickens because this is where they take their dust baths, as you can see. But you also see a lot of weeds and other things coming up in there, partly because one of the other drawbacks to allowing the chickens in here and having to have the netting is it's hard for me, especially back in that corner, to reach all that stuff to pull it up. We also have kale and more lamb's quarter coming up in here that I'm leaving for now. And then eventually I'll pull some more of it up and transplant it. So you can see there's one there. And then here's my lemon cucumber coming up. My other cucumber, still nothing. No sign of that one at all yet. And then over in this pot, I've got a couple of different things growing. And this is the second one I finally saw come up. This is the first one. It came up and then it just stopped. And what these 2 things are, and there should be more coming up along this side over here, and along this edge, are the blue butterfly peas. So after I tried that powder and really excited about all the things I can do with it and its health benefits, I decided to purchase some seed and see if I can grow it myself. But it's not like any other pea or bean. It clearly likes warmer weather than my other peas and beans. And then these, I'm really excited about these. I got 4 so far. There should be more coming up in here soon. These are that chufa nut, or also known as a tiger nut. Basil's coming along. Peppers, another thing that they actually came to a stop after I moved them out here and didn't do anything until just recently. They finally have started to grow again. And then right here, this is the valerian I showed you in the last video. I'm going to actually be carefully taking a few of these out today and transplanting them in some other areas. Okay, so I'm standing back over here by the dehydrator, so that might be the sound you're hearing. Just want to close up this video. That's my update for this week. And hopefully next week we'll be able to see a lot more going on in the main garden. Hopefully we'll continue on with this warmer weather so things can actually grow for us. All right, well, I hope you're enjoying my 2020 garden updates. Thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.